Welcome back on the AM show. Now, national security chiefs are racing against time to find peace in the conflict-ravaged town of Bawku that has seen recent insurrections or violence resulting in the loss of lives of 16 people 38 days from the 2024 general election. We explore the options for peace in this protracted conflict as the Minister for Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs cautions against the politicization of the issue. We'll bring you details with our guests, but before that, let's listen to the Minister and what he had to say.
Bawku has been shaken by renewed clashes, forcing feuding factions back to the negotiation table in hopes of restoring peace. The unrest sparked by the controversial return of rival chief Saidu Abagri has led to the tragic loss of 16 lives in just a few days. Security chiefs are working to remove him to quell rising tensions. That's according to Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs Minister Stephen Asamoah Boateng.
In terms of how the rival chief ended up in Bawku, I'll leave that to security agencies to answer that. It's unfortunate he did. It's something that we have to find answers to and also to try and deal with it, because his very presence is creating the problems. And indeed, as you read from the statement yesterday, it's causing a lot of unrest and unease and tension. So let's, as I say, leave that to security agencies.
The government has also enhanced security in Bawku, increasing police and military presence and initiating a strict curfew to curb further violence.
Government yesterday released a press statement that declared a curfew in the Bawku area due to the substantial threat to public safety and security. Government is guided by its responsibility to protect lives and property, and above all, to enforce law and order to restore normalcy as quickly as possible.
The Chieftaincy Minister Stephen Asamoah Boateng also disclosed that eminent chiefs led by Asantehene Otufoɔ Saitutu II are mediating between the factions who are currently cooperating.
But from the role of the key personalities who are helping to resolve, indeed, you recall that the government has requested Otumfuo the Asantehene to take sole responsibility in terms of negotiating and discussing and bringing this whole thing to some amicable solution. And he's been doing that. It's not just because of this incident. I know he's called them severally to Mentia. I know he's in touch. And indeed, just recently, for the past 3 or 4 days, we have been talking to him and he's talking to them, and indeed that is going down well.
There's also the race against time to end the negotiations before the elections.
We cannot afford a long dragging out of this conflict into the election period. Don't forget that election itself brings tension anyway, and so you don't want to add the Bawku matter to it, so we better deal with it quickly. Don't also forget that we also have the little matter of our northern border. It's not a little matter, it's a big matter, but that's also something we keep an eye on. So you don't want Bawku matter to drag for too long. And both factions are aware of this. They're aware of the election implications. They're aware of the attempt by the jihadists in the Burkina Faso end. So when we talk to them, they're all conscious of the sanctity of our boundaries and our borders.
Mr. Asamoah Boateng once again appealed directly to the youth in Bawku, imploring them to abstain from provocative actions to support the peace process.
To my brothers and sisters in Bawku area, and that's why I'm wearing the hat. Normally I don't, but today I decided to do that. I'm addressing you, my brothers and sisters in the Bawku area, and wherever you find yourself, please reach out to your neighbor. Bridge the divide that separates you and build a future where peace reigns supreme. You have lived together peacefully in the past. You have intermarried and produce children of parentage from all sides. I plead with you to take a step back from these seemingly provocative happenings and show exceptional love to yourselves. For you are one people, as we are all one people in this country, working hard to better our lives.
For Joy News, Mamisi Nyamiche Thompson.
So that is the situation. Let me introduce the guests to you, and we shall kickstart the conversation. Of course, my own in-house guest, Sweetie Abochi, is on hand. But we also have Maxwell Ziyeli Agbambila. He's a lawyer. He joins the conversation. Maxwell, good morning.
Good morning.
And we also have lawyer Dauda Jawara Salifu. He is spokesperson as well. He's also a lawyer. He's spokesperson. He will speak.
I speak also for the Bawku Naba.
Yes, of course. You are spokesperson for the Bawku Naba. He will speak for the Mamprusi end of things, and lawyer Agbambila will speak for the Kusasi end of things. Not necessarily that they are here to tussle, but they are here to reflect what is happening on the ground. We also have security consultant providing bespoke services. I'm talking about none other than Professor Kwesi Inning, who joins the conversation. Prof, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
So very quickly, let's start with you, Prof. This is not an issue that is just rearing its head. It's been with us for decades, some point to 1931. What do you make of this recent resurgence, and how do you think we got here?
Well, what we're experiencing right now has not come as a surprise, and will neither be the last time we experience this. Let me locate my comments within the context of the role of the Republic of Ghana. I want to make it short and not go into a long historical analysis. I think my two legal colleagues there can do that very well. You know, when the state and its institutions that must be neutral arbiters in a conflict, but fails consistently over time to be seen as a neutral arbiter, then its capacity to negotiate, to mediate, and to bring the contesting parties or the antagonistic parties around the negotiating table, thrash out, agree on the way forward, in a manner that sides feel that they are agreed with and can accept the agreement. Then the crisis over time becomes intractable. The state has played a role in what? If you remember, I think my colleague in the studio was specific in terms of state. But sometime around early 23, thereabout, the Republic of Ghana stepped very late. That also raised questions about the presence of the state in Nalerigu when there was this thing to send another chief into Bawku. That process has continued, or the contestation around the process has whether another of royals.
Prof, we are losing you briefly. I would just want you to reposition briefly and then speak up for me. Usually we have some challenges.
So, because we didn't resolve decisively the processes and procedures for session for the eskinnment, all those technical processes. We experienced this issue I'm talking about, where another person wanted to enter Bawku and claim the Nabashi. The Republic of Ghana intervened almost at the 23rd hour. And we remember the statements of the hardliners around this individual, that they were ready to fight, they would march on to Bawku. But that case exposed the role of the state, the police, intelligence, local government, all those people who ought to have picked the signals. The problem is, did they pick the signals? Were their concerns and early warnings sent to Accra? Did Accra overlook it and only intervened when it realized it was becoming problematic? That failure to act decisively.
And that would be an intelligence. That would be an intelligence failure, right? That's what you're pointing to.
That would have been a monumental intelligence failure.
Okay.
Although the intelligence people claim they did their work, the information was sent to Accra, and they escalated their concerns as the developments in Nana Lerugu continued. This individual has eventually entered Bawku. Now, that journey couldn't have been a journey that the security agencies did not know about. That their intelligence did not take. So when we get different versions of the story as to how the situation must be resolved. And yesterday I listened to the Minister for Chieftaincy Affairs, Asamoah Boateng, I think he's called, linking the resolution of this crisis to the election. That even out there. Because
that will be what? That will be what?
Right. That compounds.
That compounds the problem.
Compounds the problem, yes. Because you've given an indication that your interest in resolving this crisis is time bound. You want to get it done before the elections by all means. And after the elections, come what may, it will not be of national interest anymore. Okay. That allows the competing parties then to calculate what their best actions are before and after the election. So the state, I think, consistently over time has failed to play its mediating and, where necessary, its enforcement role. And therein lies the intractable nature of this conflict that we are seeing.
Okay. Thank you, Prof, for situating the conversation in that context. I see a number of you, whenever we have these discussions, a number of you from the different sides, the different factions will get very passionate about it. It's understandable, but relax, calm down. I see some of your comments, and already you are, and I would also like to say, gentlemen, that as you address both sides of the chieftaincy divide, including the chiefs themselves, that you address them respectfully, no matter what. Just address them properly to avoid any further escalation. I mentioned to them before coming on air that their comments here could lead to either calm on the ground, not here in the studio, on the ground, or tension. So they should watch it. Before Sweetie Abochi takes over, I'm curious. I wanted to find out from both of you, what do you know in terms of the historicity, the history of this bid? Just briefly, I want you to situate it for us, and then Sweetie Abochi will take over in terms of how we want to start. I'll start with you, Maxwell, in about 2 minutes, max. Why all this, the history of it? What do you know?
Well, good morning once again. the history of what is happening in Bawku is pretty simple and straightforward. It's an accident of colonial history that has brought us to where we are, and that is what is making our brothers on the other side continue to attempt to do what they are doing. And it is that the Kusasi people historically are an acephalous group of people, which means that we were historically organized around the Tindana system. The Mamprisis on the other side had this unitary system, much like the Akan people, or the Ashantis. So they were usually organized around one chief. Now, they are also historically a trading people, whilst we are farmers. Mm-hmm. So the history has it that in time past, they used to trade, you know, their homeland is around the northeastern belt, Nalerigu, Gambaga area. So they used to trade up to Tinkudugu, Wagadugu, which is present-day Burkina Faso. Okay. And that, when they were passing through the Bawku area, robbers waylaid them and took their wares. So in time, the Nairi at the time put something resembling, you can call it today a police post, in order to protect their trade route. And because they already had chieftaincy in that form, he would usually select one of his sons to come and be leader of his people. And then, cut a long story short, came colonialism, where the white man needed to use indirect rule to govern. So anytime he got to a place, he would say, look, where's the chief? Then they would point to him and say, there's the chief. So when he came to our side, he had, before he got to the northern part, of course, he had seen chiefs in Ashanti, although Ashanti wasn't really part of the colonial setup. He had gone to Yendi, the Tamale area, and seen Ayana. He had gone to the Mamprusi area and seen a Nairi. So when he came into our area, most of Upper East ethnic groups are historically acephalous. You can talk about the Gorone people, the Nabdams, the Talensis, and we, the Kusasis. We have always been an acephalous group of people. So when he got there, he said he was looking for a chief. We didn't understand what chiefs were. We had what we call Tindana. So everybody will say, if you are looking for a chief, these are the people who say they have a chief. So then the white man decides to use him to govern. Otherwise, until the white man came, there was never a time where the leader of the Mamprisi community in Bawku exerted any form of authority on the indigents of the place. It was indirect rule that brought about those things. So then the chief now had power, with the help of the white man, to exert taxes, to command people to do communal labor and all of that.
So per your understanding, this is a vestige of colonialism?
Yes, completely.
And a misunderstanding
entirely.
Of between,
yes,
you know, the understanding of a chief and a Tindana, because
fantastic.
you had Tindana,
yes.
you didn't have.
Yes.
That's
maybe if we were allowed to develop, naturally our chiefs would have evolved to become what we know as chiefs today.
Okay.
And that is why, at independence, the Kusasi people said, no, we cannot allow this to continue to happen.
Okay.
Indeed, and I'm happy my good brother is here. There is no single Mamprisi man who tells you that the Bawku land is for them. What they say is that they founded a chieftaincy.
Okay.
Because chieftaincy and land are intertwined. Because it comes in certain practices, norms, and cultures and stuff like that. So if you cannot placate the land, it means you don't own the land. The four corners of the Bawku area and the Kusasi area in general belong to the Kusasi people. Okay. And I have ample evidence to demonstrate that to you, if given the opportunity.
All right. So let's hold it here. I think you've exhausted your 2 minutes. Let me come to Dauda. You speak for the Mamprusi side. What do you know about the history of this conflict?
Well, good morning to viewers. You know, if we want to talk about the history of Bawku and who founded Bawku, we would not have enough time to go through this. But obviously, Bawku was not founded during the coming in of the white man. I mean, historically, Bawku was founded somewhere in the 1760-something by the Mamprusis. And part of what my brother Mike Maxwell is saying is true, but part of it is just the Opoku Afaris committee report, where you pick all those ones, do some of, you know, those things, piece them together to make a narrative look good.
Okay. Chieftaincy
started way, I mean, in Ghana, when you talk about the history of the North, you talk about Nagbewa. in Pusiga. If you trace the lineage of the Mampusis, the Dagombes, the Nanumbes, it is through Nagbewa. Nagbewa founded Pusiga. Pusiga is 20 minutes drive from Bawku. Right. He rightly says that a trading post was founded by the Nairi's son to stop. And you see, I don't like this narrative that goes on that Kusasis were whaling.
No, I didn't say that.
No, that narrative is there.
No, I didn't say that.
When you were speaking, I didn't.
No, I'm sorry, but I didn't
Yes,
say that. Just to
please.
put it on the record, that I didn't say Kusasis were those.
I think
who
he said they were being waylaid.
They were being waylaid.
But not that
I didn't
Kusasis
say
were.
Kusasis.
Yes, but the narrative is there. Honorable Hasvoka has said it several times, and you see this
Which
has
are Cletus?
yes, and this really has some form of effect in the banditry that is going on, that is still going on, where market women are going to market and it's still happening. They are being shot, killed, and they are. So the Kusasis honestly are not bad people, as some of our senior Kusasi leaders would say, only to make the narrative sound good. That the Nairi's son came and then, well, you haven't given us any date when this so-called white man came and then picked up a Mampusi man and said, I'm going to make you a chief. You have equally said that you, the Kusasis, were never chiefs until 1957 when Nkrumah regime and the Governor General put up the Ofori.
Can I give you the date?
He said they had the.
Can I give you the? Can I give you the dates?
He said they had their Tindanes.
Yeah,
exactly.
Which date are you talking of? When the imperial?
So let me give him the dates. And I am happy, Professor Ini.
I'm sorry, I'm interjecting.
Sorry, I'm happy. Professor,
just give us the dates.
Professor Ini even mentioned it. In 1932.
I haven't.
Maxwell,
it is my time. Okay, when you were speaking,
I understand. Already the extension of
okay. You
yes,
go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead, Dauda.
If you want to go to, yes, Professor Eni mentioned 1932. I started with the 1731.
Right.
When the first Mampusi prince came down to Bawku. Bawku means a valley. Okay, and Bawku was named by Mampusis. When they came...
In which language?
In Mampurli.
Okay.
You see, it has now turned to Bawku, as in B-A-U-K. It's Bok. It's a valley. When they came there, you have alluded that when they came and set up the trading post there, the whole place was uninhabited.
No, I didn't say that.
Okay, well, I'm telling you that the whole place was inhabited.
I said he set up something,
and then it was to aid the trade.
So you can note down the point.
It was to aid the trade route between Bawku, Tenkodowo, through to Gambaga to the south. The Moses were there. I can tell you for a fact that even the Moses settled in the Bawku area before the Kusasis. And let me go back to 1931. In 1931, Bawku had a Mampusi chief. There were 18 cantons. All had their chiefs. Maxwell comes from Zebila. Zebila is not Bawku. Pusiga is not Bawku. Binduri is not Bawku. Tili is not Bawku. There is no Mampusi man who has ever gone to Zebila to go and say that I want to be the chief of Zebila. The chief of Zebilas have always been Kusasis because those are Kusasi areas. Mampusi areas, we had Sinimbaga, we had Gombo, we had Tili, we had Teshin. Tili and Teshin are closer to Zebila. In 1931, all these 18 cantons had their chiefs. It was when the white man came in 1932 and tried to introduce the indirect system of rule that they said that, look, we want a head chief And that was where the Bawku Naba, who was then a Mamprisi, was elected as a head chief. But that didn't even give him control over the Kusasi areas.
Okay.
The whole of
As in, just for clarity,
yes.
When you say the Kusasi areas, where the
Yes.
Tindanas were, is that what you're referencing?
See,
Clarify for me.
Good. Let me tell you something. This word Tindana has been misused. You see, the Tindanas were like Okonfo, like what we have here, the Wulomos and the Okonfos. They pacify the gods.
Okay.
That is the role that they play. Subsequently,
Fetish priest?
yes, a fetish priest. That is what the Tindana is. So you see, when you want evidence of who owns a certain land, even within the Kusasis, the Tindana is a credible witness. He will tell you this family owns this land. This family owns this land. That is what he does, but he pacifies the gods.
Okay.
And then we have the grooves where the Tindanas actually go and do that. Tindanas do not own land.
Quick, and that was exactly what I was about to ask you. Did the Tindanas at the time have ownership of land? And I ask it in respect of what today,
Yes.
in our land law, right?
Yes.
We know the role is of maybe a Tindana.
Tindana,
That,
yes.
I just want you to clarify that for
Yes.
me.
The Tindanas never owned any land in Bawku.
Okay.
The Tindanas never owned any land in Bawku.
Okay.
If the lands were uninhabited, how did the Tindanas own the land?
Okay, so wrap up so I bring in Matthew.
So I am saying that, so in 1932,
CT will bring in Matthew.
so in 1932, then the colonial government said that we need a head chief. So the divisional chief of Bawku, who was enskinned, hitherto, had been enskinned by the Nairi. There's no doubt about that. You go into the histories, the map of colonial Ghana, you would realize that the whole area was called Mamprisi District or Mamprisi State. And we have co-lived together. We have. So the Kusasis in 1932, they had a chief called Kusanaba Ayebo. He knows that. Kusanaba Ayebo was enskinned as a Kusasi chief, and he had his territory. No Mamprisi had ever gone there to go and, disturb him or try to take his land or whatever it is. So, moving forward in the history to 1958, 1957, 1954,
time, so that,
the current Bawku Naba's father, Aburago Azoka, petitioned the Governor General and said that his family owned all the lands in the Kusasi area. That is not the truth.
okay, and that is what has eventually...
And that is what has led, that is what had led to the Opoku Afari Commission, and then subsequently the Governor General had, made a decision. In fact, he had unilaterally even varied to say that if you are a Kusasi chief, then it is interchangeably with a Bawku chief. Okay. And that is what has gotten us.
Thank you for the situation, Sweetie.
I mean, Mr. Gwambila has some reflections.
Yes.
So you think there are some gaps? Or
yes, I mean, huge gaps.
Briefly,
but yes, I'll be as brief as I can.
Gaps.
Look, my brother says that the Mamprisi is named Bawku, and he says that the actual meaning of Bawku is Bawku. What it means in Mampruli is the same. It has the same meaning in Kusal.
Valley?
Valley, yes. Because if he sees a valley, say Bawku. It's the same. He cannot deny that. Number two, I am from the north, but I live here.
That makes things complicated.
You
don't know which.
No, but we are not going to fight over name. But I'm saying that we are.
But the name is important.
No. Because there are some other indicators that we can use to determine the matter, other than the name.
That is true.
And I'm simply saying that we are. I believe none of us is gone here. We've all come as sergeants here to do business. I know communities in this Accra which have all manner of names. I mean, settlers come and they name it. Does that make it their land? Is it not Ghana land? If you go to Zongo, Abuso Kai Zongo, they call the place Zongo. Is it not Ghana land? But it's people from all walks of life who have come and named the Zongo. They have East Legon Hills, Trazakwe, and all that. Those are not Ghana names. But is that not Ghana land? Number two, let me simplify this issue of always trying to, segregate Bawku from Kusasi. We are fighting an identity matter. When he mentioned the history of Nagbewa, he says that, look, Nagbewa is a father of Mamprusis, Dagumbes, Nanumbes. So who are we? Don't we have an identity? In any case, you know that chieftaincy is not a creature of statutes. So if you are a paramount chief of an area, you are by law the president of a traditional council with divisions under you. I am from Zebila, as he rightly put it. My Zebila chief is a divisional chief. What he means to say is that if today, by any stroke of misfortune, a Mamprusi man is chief of Bawku, and the Zebila seat falls vacant and I want to contest, what he's trying to say is that I would have to go to a Mamprusi man to be skinned. Where does it happen in this world? Tell me.
Okay, so that's the conflict, or the historical context of where we are. We need to move the conversation.
Yes, we'll know, but let me just I'll clarify a few things. Yes, you see, the reason why in 1932, when they were looking for a leader, the rest, they chose the Bawku chief at the time, was obvious because Bawku was the center. The white man had come to settle there. That is where all the offices were, district assembly. That's where you could access government business.
But it was an election.
Oh, but you know that
it was an election.
All
the 18 cantons.
So when you didn't like his interjecting you, so you can just let him land it.
No, I'm just giving.
The point I'm making is that it was an election that was predetermined. Because yes, of course,
it was an election.
No. I've never said it wasn't. And look, there's no Kusasi man who has ever said that you didn't have chieftaincy in the time past.
Who are those who participated in this election?
Oh, a number of chiefs. I have their list here. I can name them for you. But about 18 of them participated in the election. It was a contest between the then Bawku Naba, who was a Mamprusi man, and then the chief of Kosanaba, Kosanab Yep. They were the contestants.
Okay.
Yeah, but in Kusal we call him Kosanab.
So these were the 18 cantons he spoke of?
Yes.
Okay.
But of course, Bawku was the center.
Okay.
So it made sense that everybody you can't take the headship and go to the outskirts.
At Bawku, all the 18 canton chiefs were at par. They were level. Nobody was higher.
Can I finish? And that is why I am saying
these are the gaps and inconsistencies that's causing the conflict.
Yes.
The understanding one person has of what should be.
But the simplicity of it is that he agrees that Bawku now is a paramountcy. He has 25 divisions under it, all of who are Kusasi men. What they are trying to do is to say that, let me be chief over you. And I don't want to go into social media wahala, but I have people who say all the time.
For them, that is not fair.
No. I'm saying that
You are here to speak for
yes.
so you will do that. Yes. But let him. He says don't speak for them, so speak for yourself.
Otherwise, if they were saying that, look, we have inskilled somebody to be chief of a Mamprusi, I am a Kusasi man, I live in Accra. We have chiefs in Accra, Kusasi chiefs. We don't interfere or we don't attempt to assert control over Ghana land or Ghana authority.
Okay.
So if they were to say that, look, we have a sizable population in Bawku, we want one of our own to, take care of us and our affairs, I don't think that we'll be fighting. Because even we who have come from all that far and we are in Accra, we have Mamprusi chiefs in Accra.
So are you done with your points now?
Yeah,
yes,
I think that's it. So since 1932 thereabouts, that's all this started. Mr. Gwambila, how is this affecting the people? Now, obviously, both communities are well represented. And so to speak, we have two leaders, right? And so 4 or 5 days ago, when Malaji Seidu entered the township, that started all this again. What has been the effect on this long-standing conflict on the people of Mamprusi?
Of Kusasi.
No, then I'll come to you. So let's talk about the effect of this conflict, this disagreement, what it is, what it's not, the effects of the people. They say when two elephants are fighting, it's the ground or the grass that suffers.
The effect of it is obvious, that all of us, across the world, we have succeeded in endangering our lives for nothing. And
nothing?
Yes, because it's needless.
Did you just say across the world?
Yes.
So Mamprusis and Kusasis and different parts
it's now
of the
across
world.
the world.
I see.
I'm telling you, although we live in Accra, but you cannot be too sure. I have a very good friend in Bolga. Bolga is not part of Bawku. They went to his house and shot him at night. All because of the conflict.
The two of you sitting here, you realize you are brothers. And I'm sure if let's say you were in a different jurisdiction, let's say you were both in some other country,
yes,
and he was in need, you would help him, right? And if he was in need, you would help him.
Oh, but even if I see him in Bawku and he's in need, I'll help him. That's my nature. I don't need to see him in a different jurisdiction. I'm saying that here at Circle,
so when do I come?
the area down here, there were gunshots recently. Somebody lost his life. We had to engage regional police commander. We even had a regional security meeting where the present interior minister, he chaired that meeting to try to resolve us. So we have managed needlessly to export the conflict across the globe. So anywhere you are, you cannot be certain. And I continue to say that it is completely needless because we all knew where we were going to. The Bawku conflict, in my own honest and respectful view, is not complicated at all. We have brought this upon ourselves to use taxpayers' money that we don't have to maintain peace. About a month or two ago, we were on your network, talking about 18 million that is doled out to national security every quarter in order to maintain peace in Bawku.
I think Mama Yarga said it was 6 million every month.
Yeah, so every quarter. Because of what? When we all knew what was happening. Government has a very firm position on this matter.
All right. So
yet we have allowed it to fester.
So loss of lives.
Loss of lives.
That conflict across the world.
Now BEC results have been released. If you hear the grades of students in Bawku, you would marvel. They get things like no two numbers, 52, 48. That is the consequence of the conflict.
So you do understand the effects of this. So let's hear from you as well.
Well, he has mentioned the question that you asked, the effect. I would tell you that that effect that he's talking about doesn't affect his people in Zebiland.
Which specific effect are you talking about?
Yes,
the
question that the loss of lives, businesses, and all that. It doesn't affect his people in Zebiland. It doesn't affect some Kusasis in Garu. It doesn't affect... me sitting down here, I can tell you that every single time there is any gunshot that goes on in Bawku, I lose a family member.
I'm sorry to ask, but does it affect the people in Wale Wale?
Hold on, please. Hold on. Please. When you were speaking, I didn't.
Okay, all right.
Hold. Let's.
In the very last 3 days, I had to bury a cousin. Most of my family members have lost their lives, lost their businesses. Ask him, has he got any investment in Bawku? So you see, let's situate Bawku in the municipality, and that is where the problem is. Let's
do that, because initially you mentioned that whether it is Pusiga, it is Zebela, it is not Bawku proper, right?
Exactly.
You mentioned, when you were mentioning his, and I guess that would reflect on you as well. So then let's not bring in that conversation. Let's
if you don't have any business, okay, your children are not, your family members or your children are not in the Bawku municipality, you still have education. Let me tell you, the Presbyterian Hospital, as we speak, during the conflict, there was no any doctor there to treat the wounded people. They were dying there. There was only a medical, what they call medical assistant there. Businesses have closed. Alaji Mumuni Bonaba, very nice man, the NDC chairman, was a very big businessman. He has closed down his shops. People's shops have been burnt. So, if we really want to deal with the situation in Bawku, let's narrow it down to the municipality where all these atrocities are going on. Where market women leave Bawku and they go to other markets and their wares have been, burnt and they are beaten up. People are driving from Bolga to Bawku on market days, and they are stopped in the middle of the road and they are shot. So, tell me, if you do this in your enclave, you should expect the same thing to be done in the Mampusi areas. You see, this Bawku conflict, it didn't have anything to do with Wale Wale, the wider Mampurugu area or the wider Kusasi area. It has escalated to this point. Let me tell you, I have so many friends who are Kusasis.
Right.
The secondary school I went to, Maxwell, I have told you, most of my friends, seniors, we had Bawku Students Union. Now the Kusasis, for whatever document it is, they are creating a kingdom. Look, I want to put it on authority.
On record.
On record. That the Mampusis do not have a problem with Kusasis having a kingdom. Never. The Mampusis do not have a problem with Kusasis having their overlord, the Zugurana. Just as the way the Kusasis say they want self-determination, the Mampusis should not be stopped from having their own traditional customs and values.
Okay, let me quickly interject with this. I will bring in Professor Kwesi Enning, but before I do, I want to ask you this question because the Minister for Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, as Honorable Asamoah Boateng, made a point. He says, I'll leave it to security operatives how the rival chief ended up in Bawku, talking about the security situation and how this happened. Professor Enning, who will be coming in shortly, also made mention of that was the trigger for the latest insurgence or conflict.
Yes.
I want to find out, in the grand scheme of things, was it necessary to bring Seydou Abagli back into Bawku at this time? What will be your quick reaction before I bring in Professor Enning?
Well, you see, with Nasherga, I call him Nasherga.
Okay.
There was an arrest warrant that was issued by the government to arrest the Nayiri, the elders of the Nayiri, and Nasherga for performing a customary duty.
Which is what?
Installing the Bawku Naba, Nasherga. Now, that arrest warrant was actually going to be effected, but for the vigilance of the Mampugu youth. Subsequently, the government came and varied it. I remember even the Honorable MP for Zebila, Honorable Cletus Avoka, condemning that it was not right for the government to have issued an arrest warrant for the old man. That was not the way to go about it. Then they subsequently went to vary the arrest warrant, and then took out the Nayiri and his elders, leaving Nasherga. For almost 1.5 years now, we had been battling this in court. 3 weeks ago, the Court of Appeal made a decision and said that the arrest warrant was illegal. Nasherga stayed away from Bawku on our advice that let's wait and hear what the court would say. The court had decided. There was nothing that stopped him from going to Bawku. From the period that the decision of the Court of Appeal was taken till the time that he went to Bawku, no state agency had tried to meet with us to say, okay, now that this matter is outside the courts, what is the way forward?
So there were lapses, but there was also not engagement with the
and
state,
then you see, what the state did was to go and appeal, to file an appeal.
Okay. Okay.
If you understand. Let me just make one point. Now, Sherga is...
I'll come to you. That's why I say note down.
Now, Sherga is a head of family. Right. Apart from he being enskined by the Nayiri, he's an old man. He has his household. And he had been living outside Bawku for a very long time. He needed to go back home to go and see his family. Okay. There was no law that was stopping him from going back.
Thank you for making that point.
But you see, there was a threat by the Kusasis that anytime Nasherga steps foot in Bawku, there will be bloodshed. And that was what happened.
Okay. Unsubstantiated, I can't, but can I, before Prof comes in, I just want to read these two comments because they situate. Like you said, when two elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. These two comments caught my attention. This one says, Liza says, okay, so it's actually not. Kofi Otre, Dako says, I will plead with my brothers to let all of us live in peace with one another. Kusasis and Mamprusis are brothers. And Nana Kwesi Grant Jr. says, I think the issue is bigger than what the two gentlemen are speaking of. Innocent inhabitants are being killed. Prof, having listened to both sides of the conversation, what do you make of it? You just heard Lawyer Dauda as well talking about the fact that, legally speaking, there was nothing stopping Seidu Abagli from getting back into Bawku. Professor Enning, if you're there.
Unmute, maybe?
Hello, Professor Enning. Can you hear me? Okay, we'll try to get Professor Enning back.
But I find it interesting, Dauda, that you're saying that the effects that we all, experience in the loss of lives, property, businesses, effect on education and all that doesn't affect them. And you wanted to respond to these issues.
Let's
get into that.
I have said it a number of times. Let me say it for the last time. This attempt by our brothers to segregate Kusasi people is not tenable, with respect. So what they do is that they try to distinguish the Kusasis of Bawku from the Kusasis in the other Kusasi areas. I have said here that our fight is a fight of identity.
Okay. Please hold on this thought for me, just for a second. Let's go back to Prof. Enning. We were trying to connect.
We lost him briefly, so let's get back to it. When we come, you'll continue with your train of thought.
Prof? I think that's not a good sound to hear. I think we just lost Prof again. But as and when he comes, we'd have to take his views on this as well. So please go on.
So the point I was trying to make is that our fight is one of identity. Now, I don't know whether in the media you have heard anywhere that any Mamprisi man is being killed in Zebila, although there are Mamprisi people living there. Just recently, when this issue erupted, they just stopped cars in Wale Wale. They would pull people out, ask for your ID cards. If your name sounds Kusal, they shoot you. They kill you. I have videos of people who were brutally murdered.
Are you talking of the incident on the...
Right now, just about 2-3 days ago, we have pictures. I can show you gory pictures. At least, unfortunate as it is, the Kusasis have confined the conflict in the Kusasi area. Why are people being killed in Wale Wale? If you check transport with the transport operators, they will tell you that buses are not moving from Accra to Bolga because you would have to pass to Wale Wale and you'll be stopped and killed. You can check from the bus stations here in Accra here. Right. In Kumasi, it's the same thing. That's one. The second issue that he continues to say about this founding and that the fact that Tendanas don't own land. Just ask my big brother here what the meaning of Tendana is. Tendana means landowner. Boss Alai.
What does he said that's chief priest.
In fact, in Kusal, in Kusal, it's actually Tengendan. Tengendan means landowner. He's the one who placates the gods. He's the one who placates the land.
And that's what...
If there's something wrong, so he's the embodiment of the soul of the land. That is what Tengendan means.
Do you know what? I'm seeing a certain trend. And I must say this, that if we don't deal with some of these issues, this may be intractable. You know why?
Yes, sir.
Because if we want to play on the words and play on the meanings and everything, I think he can justify his point. You can justify your point. I think there must be some seeding. That is what negotiations. But
that is why I simplify it all the time. I say that look, we can put all of this Commission of Inquiry report. We have a Court of Appeal judgment which was delivered by the highest court of the land at the time in 1958, led by the Chief Justice at the time, Seyaku Kosa. We have a Court of Appeal judgment down to 2003, when they went to the Supreme Court, abandoned it. The Supreme Court said, don't come back again under Article 270, 277. We went to Damango for a peace accord. They all agreed that this is a roadmap. The current Bawku Naba is the legitimate chief. We all have to respect him. They reneged on that. Look, let's abandon all of that.
So just wrap on that point.
We can abandon all of that. All I'm saying is that, agreed, you are once chiefs of Bawku. And by extension, ruled over Kusasi people. The Kusasi people today say, in this 21st century, that it's a question of self-determination. we are no longer interested in your rule. Tell me here, where in this world you have seen one ethnic group to pretend over the other?
Okay, point made. Professor Inning, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you. Yes.
I hope you followed the conversation from the angles that both of them. Have you been able to follow all of it?
Well, I followed the historical analysis, but I think they've made 2 points that I want to emphasize.
Go ahead.
That I think gives us hope. One was the point that, irrespective of where they are, these two lawyers from the two feuding parties will be willing to stretch a hand to support, protect, and help each other. That is a basis for building the new relationship that we are looking for. And that is the message that must be sent out. The second relates to the globalized nature of the conflict right now. But even more disturbingly, the increasingly organized criminal underpinnings of the crisis. So I will have to leave you now because I'm at a public function now. But the crisis can be resolved. And I think the two gentlemen in the studio have given us cause for hope.
Prof, before you take leave of us, I know you have to go. Did we just lose Prof?
He's gone.
I would have wanted to find out what his roadmap would be to that piece. Because now there are so many things. Sweetie, we are contemplating. There's been talk about the Asantehene stepping in. There's been a curfew, imposed. Hold for me. There's been talk of a state of emergency. Some say that would be extreme. And how many days to election? Some 30-something days. Some say this could even end up disenfranchising people within that community if there's a state of emergency.
Should affect both of them.
Look,
How do we get to the bottom of this? Also, let me add the role of politics in there.
Yes.
And it is clear that there is also an NPP-NDC angle to this. And I feel, because Professor Inning was mentioning it, I feel if we were able to even deal with the politics and get it out of the situation, we'd go very far. I don't know what you think, gentlemen. You were about to make a point. I'll let you make it so that Dawuda will also come in with his
He has been all over the place. He has been all over the place. I have not even rebutted to
all of the. Can I finish?
Mention
so
the.
Let him just conclude.
All of
you come in and rebut.
So I was at the point where I was saying that these issues are simple. We are Kusasi people. We say we are entitled inherently. It's our God-given right to determine who our leader will be on our land.
Okay.
Do you see my point?
When you say your land,
the Kusasi area, it is that land, that whole enclave has been variously described as Kusasi area for centuries.
okay.
There's a Mamprusi area. It's in Northeast. Nobody contests that with anybody. When you go to a land that belongs to a group of people, the demographic characteristics alone will show you. So we have never intended, and we have never asked to go to Mamprusi land and lord it over them. So let it not be done to us. Sure. It's as simple as that. We can put all this Nagbiwa history. As for founding, why? When we went to school, they taught us that Diego Diaz-Zambuja discovered Africa, or something of that nature. Does it mean that he would come and pretend over all Africans? It doesn't work like that. Now, back to the point you are making about this whole curfew and the threat of disenfranchisement and all of that. I was born and I grew up in Bawku. That has been the modus of the security operatives from time immemorial. It doesn't just solve the situation. What is happening in Bawku, and people who don't know the history very well sometimes attempt to compare it with the unfortunate occurrence that happened in Dagbon, where two brothers, two people from the same stock. So theirs is some rotational system.
You will have to wrap up.
Yes, I'll wrap up.
So that Dawuda can come.
Yes, where two brothers are fighting that it's my turn. This one says it's my turn. So then there's a conflict and there's a confusion. You need to sit around a table and negotiate and all of that. In our case, the situation is simple and straightforward. I am a Kusasi man. He's a Mamprusi man. Everybody knows. I can give you a litany of events that led us to where we are now. And it all happened in the full glare of the public. When this Court of Appeal rescinded the arrest warrant, I went to the Attorney General. I told him that if you people don't take action, there'll be carnage in Bawku. They told me that, the security are on top of the situation. There are security men there.
Okay.
Very well.
So point made.
So very well. Maxwell here has just confirmed what I said, that if Nashega gets into Bawku, there will be carnage. And he went to the Attorney General to actually warn him, and it happened. So you know where this carnage is coming from. He has just confirmed this. But let's leave that aside. You see, when it's convenient for the Kusasis, they say, oh, history is not good. History, we should forget about history. We should forget about Nagbewa. No. The Ashantis pride in history. The Gans pride in history. I mean, you can't do without history. So don't say that, oh, history is this, history is not good, and the history that we are giving. But it is through the history that we trace who the owners of Bawku were. And I'm telling you that Bawku was founded by the Mampusis.
But even when we talk about history, whether from his end or your end, it would be about the accuracy of the account, not about...
Exactly.
Ask him if he's talking about
which side.
Ask him if he's talking about Bawku chieftaincy or Bawku land. Oh no, just to clear that. I beg you.
No,
I beg you. It's just to ask him.
Please.
Did they found Bawku chieftaincy or Bawku land? That's all.
Please.
I beg you.
When you were talking, Maxwell, let's
Maxwell,
have a
keep it that way.
discussion.
But is that something you'd like to address? Is that what he just said? Is this something you'd like to address?
Even in their own Siam, Opoku Afari committee report, it indicated that the Mampusis came to Bawku and founded an uninhabited land. Where were you?
Show me.
Who was the Kusasi man who walked on?
You have to let him make his point, and then we come back.
Who was the Kusasi man who was in Bawku at that time, that when the Mampusis came, they said, this is the land, I'm giving the land, this is my land, I'm giving the land to you. Is it in your history? Can you mention, look, the current Bawku Naba, as he speaks, as he sits, his family came to Bawku in 1934. And when his father came to Bawku in 1934, he was hosted by the Mampusi prince, Yilmia. The only reason why the current Bawku Naba's father was even accorded any form of audience by the Governor General was because he had lived with the Kusasis, the Mampusis, and had learned the tradition of chieftaincy. So during Nkrumah's time, it was very convenient for the Nkrumah to deal with the Northern People's Party, who were his foes, and then went straight ahead and then had this committee. Let me tell you, what did the governor, you see, what they are relying on is the decision of the Governor General, who had the power at that time to vary and say that once you are a chief of Kusasi, automatically you are the chief of Bawku.
Mr. Salifu, in truth, we understand that
yes,
there needs to be a point of convergence
exactly
for both of you. So the question to you, both gentlemen, and hopefully everyone watching us who's on both sides, are there mutual interest or a common goal or even a way to bring... What is the role of the traditional leaders, really,
we have
in terms of looking for mutual ground or common interest where we can find elements to build on so that we get peace?
Yes.
We have 38 days to go.
And you see, that is so. The minister mentioned the Otumfuo's role in all this. I have been to the Otumfuo's palace and I've sat in 3 times. And I've heard wise counsel. We have presented our documents and everything. The roadmap is still going on. But we said that stop the killings. Stop the brutality. Let the wise men deal with the issues.
But when you talk of it, there have been killings perpetrated by both sides, right?
See, if you know the dynamics of Bawku, Bawku, yes, is surrounded around by Kusasis. When the gunshot starts, it starts everywhere, from all corners. It doesn't spare whether you are a Gan, you are a Hausa, you are a Mosi. So in the fight, you find Mosis in Bawku fighting. You find Mosis houses fighting. they are not fighting for chieftaincy. They are fighting for their lives. And I told the IGP the last time we met in Bawku and the security chiefs, I said that, look, Bawku, in the municipality, Bawku people are business people. They don't joke with their money. So for you to find a young man to go and buy an AK-47 or a G3 for 60,000 or 80,000 CDs, you have to question why. But that young man has that gun to defend his family. You will not sit down for somebody to callously come and murder you. Now, let me also say this.
Are there common interests?
Yes, there are common interests. Let me tell you what the common interest is. The Bawku Naba, as he speaks. Me, as a Mampusi, I'm even more related to him than Maxwell sitting here. Ask me why. The Bawku Naba's sister married my uncle. So my cousin, who is a Mampusi, calls the Bawku Naba his uncle. So there are intermarriages. As I sit here, Mama Yarges...
Which is actually a very good thing.
Yes. So let's say that if we were dealing with the matrimonial system, a Mampusi would have actually, what they are talking about, Mampusi, that Bawku Naba's nephew, would have been the one to succeed him. The Kusasis, as we speak, they don't even have a proper lineage. They don't have a succession system.
Oh, don't say that.
No, I mean, when I finish,
don't say that. But you see, and you should stop him there. Because you see, these are, no, I'm not defending anything. No, you don't need to give me ample time. Don't give me ample time.
Very well, I withdraw.
If you don't do that, you told us that. Yes, so that we don't escalate the tension.
I get the point.
This is the second time he's saying something that can easily guide.
I get the point you're making.
Yes, that's just all. I don't want you to say it so that I have to respond.
Okay, very well. It is not my business whether there is a lineage or not. But what I am, and I get.
So you've withdrawn.
I've withdrawn. Yes.
When you say that you forced me to respond,
so I said that I have withdrawn. And that I think that I shouldn't.
Please, let's move it on.
Very well. But what I'm saying is that we can have a win-win situation in this matter.
And that's what we want to hear.
I
have spoken with Maxwell about the win-win situation. What we need to do is to get down to the realities of the times. He talks about the fact that we are in a modern state and the Kusasis cannot be subjected to some form of apartheid regime in Bawku and all those things. Well, I agree with you if you want to have self-determination for yourself. But in any case, you have never been subjected to that, whatever you say, by the Mampusis. The Mampusis have always respected the Kusasis. Like
I'm sorry, I have to do this because of time. You said you've discussed the roadmap, you've discussed whatever the solutions, the win-win strategy is. What is it? What is it?
So the win-win situation is that I will advise that the government tread cautiously with the rhetoric about going to arrest Nashega out of Bawku. That would create another issue.
You are talking of, please clarify, Nashega being Seidu Abadli.
Exactly.
Okay.
You see, if you try that in Bawku, you are going to repeat what happened with the arrest that was going to take place at the Nairi, when they tried that at the Nairi, and it wasn't a joke. We need to have a peaceful way of dealing with this situation.
You don't think that the methodology, the approach we've been using
the issue
so far,
is that
nearly 6 million is pumped, it's not going anywhere.
The 6 million that Mama Yarga talked about, the 6 million that Mama Yarga talked about, I haven't seen the figures. Okay, the National Security Coordinator should be the person to tell us that this is what I spent on this. I know that they've been giving some chiefs money here and there in the Bawku area. They've been giving them largesse. So that is also part of
you want us. When he's making very,
he's not directed at the National Security.
Say something that will make him respond.
He's not mentioned anything.
This is directed. This is even directed at the National Security. Mama made his allegations, and I'm also making my allegations that one of their methods also was that part of the money they were giving out to chiefs to calm them down and calm their people down. So if they are doing their accounts, that is fair. But I'm saying that the win-win
for you, there is a way to peace.
Yes, the win-win, and this is how it is. This is how it is.
We are concluding shortly.
I'm saying that I'm saying that my people in Bawku should accept that we cannot go back
to the colonial, before even the colonial days, if we think that we are going to lord over the Kusasis.
All right.
Also, the Kusasis should also know that our traditions and customs are different from Kusasi traditions and customs. They cannot also lord over us.
Okay.
So this is my proposal to me.
Let's leave it there. Maxwell, I like the way he ended. He says they don't want to lord it over you,
yes,
and you are not going to lord it over them either.
Yes.
You have some quick responses. Let them be
Yes.
brief, and then
I'll try.
What I want us to do at the end of this, lest I forget, when you are done, I'll give you
peace messages.
exactly.
Yes. No.
I want both of you to address your different sides
Yes.
and leave us with a message.
But before we get to that point, you see, I'm happy my brother is a lawyer. He said that the Afari report made a point that Mamprusis came to Bawku and found an uninhabited land. Fortunately, I have the report here. Whilst I respond to the things he says, I can give it to him. You should find me where the report says that.
The report is in
fine.
my
We
head.
can do
No,
this.
but you show it to them.
You that you have a copy of it, and this is what you brandish about. I have it in my head.
Mr. Gwambila, what's your response
have
to his
it.
proposal for a win-win?
No, but he has said many things that I need to respond before I come
So
to
let's
the
do
win-win
that.
thing.
But I haven't even responded to all that you have said. So I don't even know why he's responding to what
In this matter, look, in this matter,
Let's say
we have been to see the president of Ghana, both sides. Everybody has been emphatic. The current Bokunaba and Zuguran of the Kusasi state has been there for 40 years. If you have a problem, there are institutions to go to. The president said that to them. The Nairi promised the president that he was going to go to court. Then they went to Otumfuo. Otumfuo said the same thing to them. In fact, Otumfuo added that, but you want to inskin, or you have gone to purport to inskin somebody. If you don't have power to deskin, you cannot have power to inskin. So once there's a chief there who has been gazetted, duly recognized as president of the Kusak Traditional Council, member, and once president of the Upper East Traditional Council, member of the National House of Chiefs, you cannot just get up one day and say that I am inskinning a rival person as chief of the area. When you do that, you will play the area into chaos. They both told them. Every president in this Fourth Republic has told them that if you want to do something, go to court. Now they are asking us to go to court. In fact, they heeded the advice of President Kufuor. That's how they went to court in 2003. And what happened is that I have the ruling here. They went to court and saw that they had no case. So they pleaded to withdraw with liberty to reapply. He understands that. The court said, I grant you liberty to withdraw, but without liberty to reapply under Article 270, 277. Those are the chieftaincy articles in the Constitution.
Right.
Can I respond?
Once that happens, if you want to go and relitigate it, that's your business. But for a person to be there for 40 years, and you just get up one day and say, look, I want to go and skin somebody to be chief, that is what has plunged us all into this.
Right.
Now, talking about the relationship, that he says that, no, that's last point. Right. He says that he's related to the President Bokunaba. And by the way, it is not true that his father came to Bawku just in 1934. That is not true. They are the founders of a part of the Bawku in general, but specifically a part of Bawku called Widi. Widi is not a 1934 founding. He knows. Now, about the relationship, that will be my last point.
So
you see, it is true. It is true that the Mamprusis of Bawku are very related to Kusasis. The reason is that, as I said to you at the beginning, when they came there, they established something resembling a police post for their trade. Now, it's only men who came. So they ended up marrying Kusasi women. 90% of them, their mothers are Kusasi women. Where did they find them from? When I was growing up in Bawku, in the 80s and early 90s, if you go there, and those are some of the demographic characteristics that you can use to show who owns the land or who is the original owner of the place. We spoke only 3 dialects in Bawku: Kusal, Hausa, and some Moshi. Ask anybody. Me, I never heard anybody speak Mampruli.
Okay.
Very well.
So I think your point.
About his win-win. About his win-win.
We are not.
No, that one is good.
Maxwell, I think we've done
Very
enough.
well.
We've done enough. Dauda.
Yes.
We are moving to the peace messages. We have to conclude this.
Well, I thought I could rebut on the Supreme Court.
If we want to rebut, you will rebut.
But
you will rebut. And
yes,
will not
yes.
end
But
the
just a point. Just a point. You see, we get it wrong when you say you went to the Supreme and there's a Supreme Court ruling. What happened at the Supreme Court? You and I know that the Supreme Court has 2 jurisdictions: original and appellate. Okay, the original is for interpretation. What we went to the Supreme Court was to interpret the constitutionality of PNDC Law 75. And the Supreme Court said that, look, this law that you are following is a spent law. So don't come back here and come and be asking us on that point. It had nothing to do with cause or matters.
Okay, so clarity.
And
clarity
you keep whipping,
But this
and then they even misled the president on it, and the president was all over. Yes, you people went and told the president that
the lawyer
we have a Supreme Court rulings. We have a Supreme Court ruling. When they asked that you should bring it, then you
It's been a while since I've heard this bit about misleading and in line with the president.
Yes.
But we can't.
But read it. It's here. It's here.
No. Maxwell, we're not going back there. So as of this point, we're going to take our peace messages and then we shall conclude.
Yes.
Dauda, to
that
your
to
people,
apply.
and not just your people, to the
277.
the other side as well.
Yes.
That is what I
Peace,
blocked them. That's
message of
never
peace.
go to
Maxwell,
court.
please
Yes.
hold for me. Your message of peace is what?
My message of peace to my people in Bawku, the Mampusis, and my uncles and brothers, the Kusasis, is that all these killings will not take us anywhere. At the end of the day, when we are all dead, who is going to be the chief? The Bokuna about the Zugrana needs the cooperation of Mampusis and the other tribes to enjoy his kingdom that he says he wants to create. Likewise, Na Sherega is a necessary party for the peace to go on in Bawku. Because the Mampusis have a historic, royal lineage. That cannot just die because somebody says, okay, you used to be the chief. Now there's emancipation. So your chieftaincy, clear off. We are now going to be the chiefs. So what happens to the Mampusis? So the win-win situation is that if the government is listening, let the two chiefs sit down. And let's dialogue, let's jaw. If you can create a parallel system of chieftaincy with mutual respect. The Nasherga was installed by the Naivi. We have situations where Asante Hini, Otumfo, Osei Tutu, has installed chiefs in Bro Ahafo region, and they are there. There's no problem. You go to Twobodog and all those things. So you cannot use administrative boundaries to curtail this.
Let's stick to the message of peace.
Yes, so the peace...
We are not doing any further.
Yes, so the peace
message
so you see, the peace is that I'm asking that the guns should be silent. First of all, when the guns are blazing, you can't even sit and talk. We had that one before in Tamale. Myself and Maxwell here. We were in Tamale. We were also in Bawku as well. We all saw that situation that our people were facing. People cannot go to market, children cannot go to school, administrative staffs are leaving, taking transfer. It's not helping anybody. It's taking us backward. I mean, the Southerners are insulting us that we are backward. And it's true, because we are not seeing the realities of modernity. We are still going back to our old... What is there in the chieftaincy matters, apart from the fact that it is that identity that we have? Well, others are fighting for chieftaincy to have gold and all those things. We are now fighting. But I'm saying that Maxwell, you and I, okay, can lead a cause that the chieftaincy matter is an old age problem. Okay, we should not mix this one with coexistence.
I want us to end on that point. Two important points I've taken from this. You can have a parallel chieftaincy, everybody respected, and you say this is an age-old problem.
Yes.
In fact, both of you can lead the charge to bring it to an end. Maxwell, your message of peace. Let's stick to peace.
Yes, but just before that, something simple. The chiefs that the Asante Hene and Skins in the Bono area.
No.
They
go straight.
They voluntarily submit themselves to Otumfo. I've heard Otumfo himself say that if you don't come to him, he won't force you. So you are mixing apples with oranges.
Mr. Gwambila, we are leaving in a minute, so let's go.
But you will give him a lot of time, and then...
Unfortunately, there are times when we've given you...
Yes. My message of peace, and I've said it all along, the killings are completely needless. And on this matter, I think that the government must act, and act swiftly, because we have identified the cause of the problem from day one. Just about 2 days ago, they issued a release and said that they had identified why there was turbulence in Bawku. I think they should deal with that.
Okay.
And then, but to my teaming youth, my brothers down there, I think that our, continuing to jeopardize our lives and put our lives at risk it's not worth it, because at the end of the day, it doesn't benefit anybody in any way. I don't think that we can kill the Mamprisis enough into submission. And they obviously cannot kill us into saying that we are no longer chiefs of Bawku. Okay. So I think that we should let the guns go silent. But more importantly, the government must stop, pampering one side.
All right.
And let the law take its course.
We'll let it end there. I'll wrap with this message. Liza Abagri says, thank you, Joy News. The people of Bawku are grateful for the time. It's been quite a bit of time we've exhausted on this conversation because of how crucial it is. Gentlemen, I'd like to say a big thank you. My in-house gets Sweetie Abochi. But of course, we had two lawyers, Maxwell Ziyeli Agbambela, speaking for the Kusasi Group, and lawyer Dauda Jawara Salifu, also speaking for the Mampusi Group. Maxwell is also the spokesperson for the Bawku Naba, as you would call it. And you also spoke for the, is it? All right. Ma'am, thank you. We also had Professor Kwesi Enning, security consultant, providing bespoke services, joining the conversation. We take a breather. We'll be back with more action on the AM show. Do stay.